some of you innocent, young-minded people out there by pointing out the fundamentals of life and then shitting on them. Now, we're not going to go into that much depth because it's actually very easy. This is actually going to be a very short video. So, I've enjoyed a couple of online political debates, sometimes with morons, sometimes with very intellectual people, and I have yet to come across a Remainer with an intellectual argument. This isn't me firing shots, this is me talking to people without getting personal, and people have got personal with me, they've got aggressive, they've gotten like I said, personal insults over information and facts, and you just go, wow, I feel so sorry for these people. And unfortunately, this big deal is starting to transcend into the public. And it's not just the political disaster of the UK, which is starting to have an influence on their people, it's also in America. In America, right, actually, you know what, let's do one thing overall first. The reason, right, why people get so passionate about sport is because usually it's an escapism. It's an escapism, you know, to avoid politics and all the bullshit of the world. And at the moment, politics is being tied to absolutely everything. And now everyone has a tribalistic, have-to-pick sides mindset. And this goes for football, this goes for any sport, this particularly goes for wrestling. I think if the world was in less political chaos, particularly in the States, I think fans would be more receptive of AEW than they have been, rather than showing this tribalistic, we're WWE, we're sticking with WWE. It's no different from how Remainers and Brexiteers are treating Brexit. And I've gone over my arguments, and I've reached a point in life where if someone doesn't understand, then I just say, well, you know what, if you're not going to listen, I'm not going to waste my time explaining to you the facts. And that's not condescending, and yes, you could argue that I'm on one of the sides, so I could easily believe that I'm just as blindly right as anyone else. No. Because the other things that, like I said, people get personal, and not only do they get personal, but they use information that has been provided from another source, aka taking Facebook posts or news articles or quotes that politicians have said, and it's like, you don't need them. The politicians are there doing their jobs. They're spouting all this shit because it's their job to be noticed. They will make more money if they get noticed. Right, dude? You have to make your own mind up, and when you think about it, these decisions are really easy. And if you're in the States right now, right, and talking about this Trump impeachment, if you're on the side that thinks that Donald Trump should be impeached, you are just part of the problem. I'm serious. Because all of this impeachment stuff for Donald Trump was all because of this whistleblower who grasped on a conversation that Trump had with the President of Ukraine, which is since the President of Ukraine and the President of the United States and everyone else has denied, and they've provided a transcript of what was actually said, right? And since the impeachment has begun, it's only been about digging up stuff from the past and digging up other stuff to get him impeached, because the whistleblower doesn't exist. Hate to tell you this, people, but the whistleblower does not exist, and if he does exist, or she does exist, she's lying. That is the only reason why this hasn't happened. If there was a whistleblower, right, that would have been the very first thing presented to the court, wouldn't it? If you wanted to get Donald Trump impeached so badly, you would provide the most damning bit of evidence you can, in which case is the whistleblower. Where is the whistleblower? And I don't mean to sound like Trump, but I feel bad for the guy, because yes, he's done wrongdoings in the past, but this is amazing, you know. This is like A dude going to court charged with murder, but when he's in court, they don't talk about the murder because there's no proof or whatever. They talk about his history with drug abuse or whatever. You know, this is what they're doing to Donald Trump. They're talking about stuff on the side, and of course the Democrats are eating it up because they don't like Trump, because they want power, because they are power glory, power hungry. That's the way they're always going to be. And don't think for a moment I'm a Trump supporter, because I'm British. I'm not a Trump supporter. Donald Trump is an asshole. But right now, in terms of American politics, he is the least... He is the person I am least likely to call an asshole out of everybody involved. Right? I feel sorry for him for having to put up with assholes. Like the Democrats. Like this whistleblower who, I'm sorry, until we finally see them appear in a hearing, doesn't exist. And we talk about, like, witness protection and stuff like that. Right, but this is getting ridiculous. We're now getting to the point where it's now witness protection to the point where someone can be completely undermined and have their life or job ruined by an unknown source, and they never get to be known. It could be anyone. Someone, this whistleblower, right, could be a Kenyan prince, for all we bloody know, right? But the world is just sort of like, well, the whistleblower has to be real because this is Donald Trump we're talking about. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to be that biased, then there's no point talking about it. But then we proceed to talk about it, and people get angry and they get upset. And then you've got the people going, we hate Trump, so it must be true. Then you've got the people going, well, we hate Trump too, but where's the evidence? You know? Where's the fucking evidence? And I say the same to British politicians. The UK is going to be so much worse off if we leave the EU. Where is your proof of that? The only proof that is guaranteed is that we will stop paying a multi-billion pound a year deal. Right? And last time I checked, gaining several billion pounds into your country's economy is not a surefire way to make it collapse. It's a way to make it prosper. And how does this all affect sport? I'll tell you why. Because sport is a business. Sport is a business, right? Brexit and the Donald Trump proceedings are all business decisions. The politics has gone out of the window. This is all about business and money. Every single thing is about business and money. So yes, these things affect them. But how do they affect them? I'll tell you. The uncertainty affects them. Not having a conclusion on Brexit has made it hard for these companies. They've now had to wait 3 years to make a decision, and the decision's still not been made. Do you really think these companies would be stressing now if we had left the EU 3 years ago? No, because they would have sorted it out by now. The world is under the perceived notion that we are all so incompetent. Just because a few guys have the insecurities that they don't know what they're doing, they assume that the rest of the world is the same. Everyone is so entitled. I mean, here I am, you know, I'm spouting my opinion, but the way I see it, my opinion's not biased. Because Donald Trump might be guilty, and if he is, I'm not going to say, oh, well, I like the guy anyway, because like I said, I don't like Trump. But he is not guilty of what he's done until this whistleblower actually turns out to be real. And has evidence, might I add. We can't just take someone at their word. It's like, you can't take Donald Trump at his words, but you're willing to take this random person who has hesitated and prolonged their exposure because, and it's not out of fear for their own safety, it's out of fear of what will happen to them if they lie in front of a court, if they're proven to lie in front of a court. The Democrats at this point are going, just lie. And the reason why they're telling them to lie is because only the whistleblower will be affected by this. Any of the Democrats will go, oh, well, we didn't know they were lying. And then a whistleblower will come out saying that they told the whistleblower to lie. And it'll never end. It'll never end. The stupidity will just never end. And it'll get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse It's ridiculous. But a long story short, if you're in the UK, you're away to vote in the next general election, right?
Hey, Spyro. I bet you can't.
I'm sorry, you have to be absolutely thick as mince to think that Brexit would be bad for the UK, right? And in turn, you have to be thick to think that this will affect the quality of the sport of the UK. It won't. It really, really won't. And the sooner people come to terms with this, the better. Because, as I said, it's not going to go away. So if you're in the UK, vote for Brexit. Seriously, because we have a great opportunity, right, to boost our economy, to have our economy under the control of other Brits. What sounds bad about that? I mean, where's the fear? I mean, the fear just must be out of the fear of, well, I don't know if we're capable of doing this. That is the only fear, right, that I can accept right now, is the fear of failure. Because there's no other reason why any of this shouldn't happen. For our sports benefit, for not just for the sports benefit, but for the people's mental health. I mean, people are becoming so aggressive, so divisive. Teenagers are being brainwashed over politics. It's horrifying. And do they know any better? No. Because if I was in that school, I wouldn't know any better. I remember being in school. I remember being told that Scottish independence would be brilliant, right? But in my mind, right, I thought, nah, that's bullshit. And that's the line, people. You need to think for yourselves. And yes, in a way, I am telling you how to think, but the reason why I'm telling you this is because sometimes it's not just a matter of opinion. Sometimes things are wrong, and sometimes things are right. That's the way it is. And we are in this position where Brexit is the right decision, right? And remaining in the EU is a terrible waste. That's the reality I live in. Right? I'm not being biased. I'm not going to tell you the EU's terrible. Look, our country hasn't collapsed on its ass, but it's certainly not doing well. And not a single person can tell me with a straight face that the UK is as good as it can be. That we are functioning at our best. And wouldn't it be nice to say that this is a Britain under the control, under the laws, under the ruling of British people? To me, that is just common sense. So, that's where I stand. And that was a terrible skateboard session, but you get the point. Make your own decisions, but for the love of God, use your brains, right? We only live once, so please just don't take anyone else's opinion as fact. Come up with your own goddamn facts, and your world will completely change. Thank you.